Just one more circus act here and it. One more trick they're putting us through. I almost didn't do it this year. Yes. And I almost didn't do any, because of what I remember from a long time ago was, we didn't have any of that. And if you made it on the council, then you put on an appreciation or
That was my
thank you
very first time,
feast.
never been there. Been in
So I was gonna
Nevada,
do that.
never there. Never.
But nobody,
I don't wanna go back.
we'd say, well, nobody does that.
It's too wild.
Doesn't mean I can,
Yeah.
but she wanted to do that, so she did that.
Every time you turn around or step out your hotel, you're spending money. Water was so
They called your names the other day.
$5.
Over there? Yeah. I told him I was leaving, I had
Better
to
just to
leave.
go ask for water. and
Cause
not
when I got when I did my round, you know, that first round, I won my round.
The escalators were broke every
But
day. Yeah.
I couldn't wait till 3 o'clock, I had to get back. So I told that lady, I said.
No, I
"Call
didn't
my
go
name,
for,
I'm not
I
gonna
went
show
for
up
travel
till I
work.
get home."
We went to clerk, certification training. Cause we're clerks.
Good
I'm a
evening,
circuit
everybody.
clerk,
Well, hello.
military clerk, so
They got us sit
traffic and criminal.
that they give everybody a water bottle with water. in it.
Yes, 4 days. I gave Kristen his email,
It's
because
hard
he got an email,
No.
because he's out west, he's got a ranch out west.
Everybody's gonna be real happy.
They told on each other.
Well, I mean, there's 6 days, you know. Yeah, you gotta get a hold of him right away, but they're right.
And why you brought a bottle of water?
Yeah.
This weather change is really making it so dry. Really? Yeah. When it starts to get cold.
But yeah, it was an experience. We got to see some show off. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was just all people, the story of, just friendships and companionships and, Oriental way. Oh, and the great big things they had, like, I don't know, crawling up things the size of this room on their stage. Yeah. But you have stage. I never seen a show like that too, so it was a good adventure. And it wasn't no vacation though, cause that work was, we had to make
Football
exams.
season's a really tough time.
The first part we had an exam for Wednesday, and
Football
the
games on
last part we
Saturdays,
had to make
then
an
the kids
exam
have
for
free football on
Saturday,
Saturday.
cause you're certified.
They have going on, so.
It was, Justice College out of Reno, Nevada. It's crazy. We don't know yet, because they gotta do our test scores, so we won't know maybe how this week or next week if we pass. And it only happens every 2 years, so. Yeah, no pressure.
You don't get to direct
It's
people
exciting
when
when
they
they learn a
say,
lot
they say
more.
whatever they want.
I have to do as a clerk, cause no one knows Tommy yet, since I've been there, you know, other than what I learned from the clerk. Yeah, so it was very beneficial, it's exciting, and
Public school.
learned a lot.
Always in high school. Miss Franklin.
Yeah. She was a good one.
I always thought she was. You know, that's funny. 6 or 7 years ago. I saw her at, Jake.
She came with another teacher, Miss Barger. 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 They were both Dutch. Sharon's. So who is missing, Kim? Real. They're just information. I say, I don't know how many people are gonna be here, that free bingo at the casino. Free bingo at the casino tonight. There's 2 of them there. Yeah. The labels are moving a lot of times. Divine providence. debate on TV tonight, or I really would have had a missus.
No, it's not live streaming?
They did last time, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's not live streaming.
No, I was presidential. They did last year, and
Pick up
what?
from, he can dish it out, but he can't take it.
No, you can't.
Really, say what,
Yeah, real good.
he kept on going,
They're still chewing on it. And he's just spewing garbage back.
he's painful.
He is. There's no thought process. He just verbally vomits it out. And it seems like he's got a real fragile ego. No thicknesses to his skin.
And the white guy, he's like a pig in the Indian bar.
You're going up or you went up?
No, going up this weekend. There's Trick. There's Trick. No, no, it's up there.
Well, if you run into John, his forces under county aid, and said, hello.
That's called the president, went to a meeting,
Uh-huh.
and they gave those school sticks. The city board expansion. So I got a cool stick, named for the city board expansion. So nobody bothered that cool stick. So one day, we made that call. The campers come running down the hall with the cool stick.
Oh, no. Is that yours?
No. So I told Ron about it, he just laughed.
You told Ron?
Yeah.
Come up over here this way.
Sharon's sitting down there.
Who?
Sharon. So this is the only chair I think. Except all the-
This is just here.
Yours, I guess.
Well, you wanna sit here?
No, 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 that's fine, Karen. I don't care for that guy anyway. Hi, Cody. Only time when I can leave for 18 minutes.
She want some donuts?
Sounds all like me.
You sure got it? Your sister,
We're gonna go ahead and, get started. I'm happy that all the candidates are here. I think that might be the first time that we had all candidates show up. I asked our elder to, pray for us before we get started.
First of all, I'll say good evening to you all. It's always because it's Monday evening and all the bingo players got bingo up because it's free bingo. And there's not very many years to see to hear what our tribal
Candidates.
and to hear what they have to say. And this evening, I'll ask our Lord, our Jesus Christ, that He bless our food for us, so that it may give us strength, and our candidates to give them strength, and to be honest and truthful for what they have to say when you ask them. Our Father, this evening, I ask that you bless everyone here. I ask that you bless their homes, their children, their grandchildren. I ask that you bless our Chichikas overseas, so that we can carry on the things that we have, that we do today, and that our council do for us when they are elected. And these things that I ask of you in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Good evening to everybody. My name is Cassie Kichian. I'm the instructor for the Contemporary Native American Issues class that is hosting this event. Everyone has a job, they planned, they delivered the invitations, they worked really hard, and so I'm happy that it all came together the way it did. And again, thank you to all of the candidates that came on time and ready to go. We have one of our students that is going to do the welcome, so I'll go ahead and let her take over.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brianna. I'm from Thornton, Colorado. Welcome to the Tribal Candidate Forum. The Native American Contemporary Issues students collaborated and organized this evening's event. This forum provides the candidates an opportunity to introduce themselves and discuss topics and concerns of the tribal membership. In order for this evening's proceedings to run efficiently, we have some ground rules. Number 1, both questions and answers cannot exceed 2 minutes. Number 2, please be respectful and do not interrupt anyone. And number 3, no foul language. Thank you.
Okay, before the students ask their first question, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce all the candidates. And so when I say your name, just to put a face to each name for some of the students because they're not from here, or the YouTube channel too, because we're streaming live. So if you can, just raise your hand. Coley Brown, Sharon Redhorn Chamberlain, Gloria Jean Eagle, Louis LaRose, Kenny Mowry, and Frank White.
What is your stance on requiring a minimum of an associate's degree to serve on the Winnebago Tribal Council?
We don't have a wireless mic, so if you don't need a mic, or if you do. Do they need the mic for the Yes. Yeah, so please use the mic.
Well, I'm in favor of that. Last year, I proposed that since we have Little Priest Tribal College, a 2-year college right here in town, and there's been a 2-year college here in town for, 30 years? Over 30 years, 35, maybe going up 36, 37 years. And so it's plenty of time and to everyone to get a degree from Little Priest. And I think everyone should make that a goal in their lives, especially if you're going to if you're going to be here in Winnebago and you want to get a better job, then you should go to Little Priest and get a degree. You don't have to maybe get a 4-year degree. And it would afford you many opportunities. That's what I did. And I worked at the community college. It was, first it was American Indian Satellite Community College of Northeast Technical Community College in Norfolk. And then we broke away from them and it became Nebraska Indian Community College. And then I retired before it became Little Priest. So I worked there a long time, and I worked my way up from being a file clerk, typist, part-time. And when I retired, I was the financial aid registrar. And I took courses all the way through so that I would be qualified to fill those positions. And so I know it works. So I'm really in favor of that.
Whoever wants to.
It's not a requirement to run for the tribe. However, when you get on the council, you're faced with a whole array of problems. And it's not a situation for the weak-minded. You need to educate yourself on a lot of issues to properly serve the tribe. So I like it when I serve with fellow college graduates. It's important because they understand issues in their professional area, and it's really beneficial. So I encourage the development of job descriptions that look at the academics of the individuals applying. I think it's important. When we first started the college, the profile of the students were female, 27 years old, with 1.5 children. And females have become the backbone of the tribe. More of them have gotten college degrees and come back to the reservation. And we got to do something to get our male students matriculating through the system.
I have 3 years of college education, but no degree. But I can tell you that I tell my children and my grandchildren today the most important thing they're going to need in their life is a degree to move along in today's society. I worked for a company out in California. After my 3 years of college, I felt like, well, now that have a good job, I'm going to go ahead and finish and get my degree. But I was fortunate enough to work for a company that paid me way more than what my college degree would have. And I stuck with that. And sometimes I wish I had gone ahead and gotten my college degree, but I was one of those fortunate ones that made it this far without getting a diploma. But like I say to all young people, it's so crucial and critical today that you have that college education. I can't boast about that, but I'm impressed with the people that do have a degree, and I'm just thankful that my experience has carried me through all these years. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Frank White, and I think the question was, do we believe that an associate's would be a requirement to be on a tribal council? If we look at past history of our tribe, that never has been a requirement, and those that never finished high school served on the council. They sat around that table, and they had a lot of traditional teachings that they lived by at that time, and that's something that's very important in our environment. Education is good, I know that, but our traditional values, they need to be stressed a little bit more. And just for everyone's information, I went to Haskell and finished 2 years there. And then the draft board caught up with me. So I ended up going into the military. And I had an intent on going to further my education after I got out of the military, but other things happened and I didn't do that. But over the years, experience has provided an education for me. There's been a lot of positions I've occupied that through those positions I've learned a lot, and this past year I've applied it while sitting around the table. So as a requirement, I don't think it's really necessary, as long as someone is sincere, someone has a concern, someone wants to do something for this tribe here.
Good evening, everybody. I think that's a really good question, because I agree with Jeannie. We do have Little Priest Tribal College here, and there's no reason why somebody shouldn't have a 2-year degree. We would be using our college and get our numbers up, because I know that's always been an issue. I am a product of Little Priest Tribal College, and I'm very proud of that. I was a non-traditional student, and sometimes I would have to bring my kids to class with me, and I was able to do that. And so I don't know how it is now, but I know that they've always worked with the students. And so education to me is very important. I know that people have common sense, and that too is very important. But when it comes to making multi-million-dollar decisions for our tribe, you need to have some type of education. You need to be able to be on a level playing field with all of these people who are out there, lawyers, businessmen, and I don't want anybody to have anything over us. And so it's very important to me that, you know, our people are represented in the best way that we can. And so education to me will give us that playing field too. I believe in traditional values. I was brought up by my grandparents. And so there was a lot of things that I was taught. And one of those things is being respectful toward all tribal members, whether they're educated or not, and representing them the best to your ability. And so that's what I would like to do. Thank you.
Good evening. I could agree with it, a requirement, yes. And I also believe that a civilized, a man, woman with common sense could do any job. They take their time, watch, listen, and learn how to do a job correctly. Myself, I've been to 3 colleges and I haven't finished. I haven't completed 2 years. So I agree and I disagree. I believe jobs could be done without and with a degree. Thanks.
The Standing Rock Sioux Tribe is in opposition of the Dakota Access Pipeline because of the environmental damage and the destruction of sacred cultural sites. If the Winnebago tribe is threatened with similar issues in the future, what will your actions be? The Winnebago tribe is threatened with similar issues in the future, what will your actions be?
Well, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe isn't the only one that's faced with this issue. It's all tribes along the Missouri River and tribes along the Mississippi River, all the tributaries that flow into it. And 2 months ago, I made a trip to Standing Rock, to the camp that was there. At that time, there wasn't too many people, but as far as our involvement is concerned, you know, we have to be concerned about the likelihood of that pipe breaking if they continue with the construction. And my position and my opinion is that we, the tribe, need to file a permanent injunction upon the Corps of Engineers, to prevent this from happening in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa. And then we need to be involved with the efforts of the farmers in Iowa. And it's going to be a never-ending battle because the money that they're projecting to make for this country is greater than our concern right now. That's the way they feel about it. And we have to continue this battle and support what's going on.
Well, I think we should be developing our own plan in case nothing will hold it back. What we are going to do, what we would do if it should reach here, a spill, contamination. What would our game plan be? Right now, I don't think we have one. And it's very possible when you get something like that, that it will happen. And I have family up in Standing Rock. My cousin married a man from there. Benny has family there. And so this is very personal, what they're going through. And they're so very concerned with their environment. And I'm glad we're doing what we are doing, even if it's just a little, all those little things that different tribes do adds up to a lot. So I just hope we can keep that impetus going of helping, of sharing, of caring for each other. Because nobody else will. There isn't anybody else out there but us.
This tribe hasn't done just a little for the situation up at Standing Rock. We've done a lot in the way of showing our support for them. This tribal council appropriated $10,000 in support of them. We sent a semi up there full of supplies, wood, and other types of things to help out. And we sent a bus that took people that wanted to go up there. So we've made a commitment in a lot of ways to Standing Rock. But I need to tell you that we need to take care of ourselves also. They're dealing with an underground dangerous product going along their reservation. We should be just as concerned about material, a lot more dangerous than that, going down our railroad tracks 22 times a day and night. So while we're concerned and have a compassion for those people there, we need to take care of business at home. That's not to say I don't support the people in Standing Rock. I do, and that can show up in the minutes if you read them, how each one of us up front here are supporting Standing Rock.
Standing Rock reminds me of the Winnebago tribe versus the Corps of Engineers when they tried to take land away from us down on the Missouri River. Under the guidance of Felix White Sr. and Sterling Snake, we fought the bastards, and we won at the Supreme Court. We had to fight. It's our legal right and our moral responsibility. And Standing Rock has an uphill battle, but they can win, and we need to support them. The question was, what would happen if something similar happened here? We'd fight them. I know the tribe. I know the council. They wouldn't take it for a minute, and they shouldn't. I'm waiting for my 1 minute sign. But I wanted to tell you, students, I forgot to tell you the first question. Go to college to get more knowledge, to be a person smart, brave, and true. If they can make penicillin out of moldy cheese, surely they can make something out of you.
I think we're gonna see and learn what's gonna happen up in Standing Rock, and we'll learn from that. what can be done, how to fight it, how to win. I think there needs to be a plan to secure ourselves, our water, for us here. What do we do if that happens? Where are we going to get our water? Are we going to be safe? Are we going to have enough? And man is destroying Earth every day. I believe we don't even know what's in our river right now. Is it being tested? Honestly, are we getting honest results? That's something that we need to look at, maybe. Exactly how clean is our water right now, and compare. And do something for the future to secure our water. Water is life.
I think that what we were talking about, having a plan, is very necessary. The people up there are, the battle that they're fighting, they're going into it almost blind and pretty much really don't know what's going to happen or if they even have a chance of winning. And there's so many other tribes that are going to be by their side. And I was thinking about, before he even started saying it, when our tribal council fought the Corps of Engineers. And that's a story that Louis tells, and I always enjoy hearing it. Because at that time, nobody fought the Corps of Engineers. And so they did it, and they won. And that was our tribal council. They were willing to just go in and fight. And, you ask, what should we do? I'm always in for a good fight. I am. And I'm willing to go for it. So, with this, we have a lot of people now that are educated. We have a lot of people that are educated in a way where our environmental people, they're taking tests and, trying to keep us safe here. So we have a lot going on for us already. And I think that just strengthening that with a good plan, and I think we'll make it through that. But I'm in total support of the people of Standing Rock. And the same way, water is life.
Little Priest Tribal College's student population is growing and becoming more diverse. How will you support the enhancement of student life at LPTC?
I say just support the education standards and don't worry about the people that want to come here to go to school.
Well, since we have one of our own running the college, I think it's in good hands, and we don't have anything to worry about. It will be taken care of, and I have supreme confidence in the staff at Little Priest. I think they're quality administrators, quality instructors. And I'm really proud to see us step out on our own like that and succeed.
I really like seeing that we have such a diverse group of students now. when I was up here, it was predominantly women, and I would say like late 20s, early 30s. I graduated in a class of 15. I think that was the biggest class that had graduated at that year. And we had one male, and the rest were all Native women. And so I don't get up here that often, but I do see a lot of, the students. And it's good to see a lot of different people here. And it's good to know that we can give that quality education for other people, and we're getting more recognition.
You know, as far as improving the standards here at Little Priest, there has been discussion on expansion, increasing our area and adding more facilities, more classroom, and then also there's been a discussion on vocational training, putting some emphasis on providing some type of training for the males. Not everyone has a desire, to go to college. Not everyone has a desire to get an associate's or a bachelor's. But those that want to earn an income and obtaining some type of trade, and I think that's important as far as improving not only Little Priest but also our community.
I see a strong commitment on the part of the Tribal Council to support Little Priest Tribal College. It's always been there. Jeannie and I were part of that first team that started with Northeast Nebraska Technical College. And we built a program that responds to the needs of students. If you don't respond to student needs, you won't have any students. They vote with their feet. But the commitment is there. But we need your commitment as students to go to class, to finish, to compete, to excel, because we expect it of you.
I can't wait till the college basketball team gets Duke and Kentucky and Kansas on their schedule.
I like what's going on at Little Priest Tribal College. The improvement, the new buildings, all the students. I totally support it. I love it. I think kind of go back with question number 1 with our high school graduation rate and our Little Priest Tribal College rate. The Tribal Council needs to focus on getting more jobs, better jobs for all the graduating students and kids, and always support students, children, and the elders. Could be taught here and brought that way to the students to learn to do those things here at Little Priest Tribal College. Thanks.
So that is all of the contemporary Native American classes questions. So now it's open to the public. So if you have a question for them, you can either come down and ask it or write it on a card and bring it to me, and I'll ask it. Or, well,
You can't hear for the live stream.
we'll do it the same way. You don't have to answer it to the house or whoever has to answer. It doesn't have to be me.
Good evening. My first question is, why balance the budget? Of what importance, if any, is that to you?
I don't know what the budget is right now. I haven't been to a tribal council meeting for a while, and all I know is that they've been hashing it out and working on it. I was at a meeting last year when a balanced budget was proposed, and I think that just went out the window when salaries were going to be paid to our tribal council members. I understand that everybody has to make a living, but had that budget been stuck to, then we wouldn't have a deficit now. And the numbers that I'm hearing are, to me, are just hearsay. Somebody said a $5 million deficit. Somebody said a $2 million deficit. And then recently I just heard it's like 1 point something. It's important to us. We don't want to have debt, but I think that right now what the tribal council is working on is we do have to make cuts. And all of our programs have to have management that they're not overspending, and they should be able to read those budgets. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but something had to have happened there where it wasn't being managed correctly. So yeah, it's important for us to have a balanced budget. Nobody wants to have a deficit. And I'm hoping that, we're going to be able to work through that and get back on track, because I want a stimulus. I don't know how many of you do, but I do. But we go through a lot of good times like we have, and then we also have to go through, the hard times. Thank you.
Well, I sat on the council for 5 months last year, and we did, by the treasurer, we were presented with a balanced budget. And I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, everything was out the door. And I still haven't been able to grasp that. In the real world, they call that robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're just moving the money around. And it doesn't solve anything. It doesn't make anything better. And we want to be better. We need to be better. Because this tribe has been through such a horrible experience because of money. And we have to know where it's at. We have to know where we're at. How do these people know that run the programs if the budget's not balanced? How do they know where they are if 1 year isn't closed and the following year isn't closed? No one knows. That's why it's important. Thank you.
I believe the budget should be balanced, always. Be hard to do, it's hard to do. It's hard to keep a balanced budget when we got to support our people, our children, and try to support our senior citizens and our students. But yes, the budget does need to be balanced, always. It could be and should be.
Why not have a balanced budget? We can't, as a tribe, spend money like a bunch of drunk sailors. We have to have a degree of fiscal responsibility. And having a balanced budget is a guideline for your expenditures. Doesn't mean you always stay with the budget. You make changes. You have to ask yourself tough questions. Like, what do you do with an employee that spent $500,000 more than they had in their budget? That's what the previous council did not deal with. And it hurts us. And I can truthfully tell you, I brought money into the tribe. Eloise Cobell and myself and other named plaintiffs and attorneys fought a 15-year battle over issues related to the mishandling of finances in the IAM accounts. We won. The tribe got a $4 million amount. Where'd it go? I thought that money would go for a Boys and Girls Club, a new center for the senior citizens, new facilities for the tribal college, but it disappeared. And that's why I deem it important to have a guideline for your expenditures of money. It's a fiscal responsibility of the tribal council.
I believe the question is, why do we have a balanced budget? And each one of us, I think you're looking around the room, some of us have families, and we know what we can live with, and we know that we need to make sacrifices in our families. And if we don't have the dollar, to buy milk for the child, then we have to figure out how we can do that. And that's basically, that's finances. If you don't have the money, you can't spend it. And when we work towards a balanced budget, that basically is a plan. And plans can always change. We can work towards a balanced budget, but then there's needs over on the side that we need to satisfy also. So it's a never-ending process. And if we ever have a balanced budget, then the tribal council treasurer, and the finance department, are doing their job. And I think this past year, they've done a fabulous job in ensuring that all things are satisfied, the programs are running properly, and each employee is getting paid. So as far as a balanced budget, I don't think that previous years we've ever had a balanced budget throughout our government history. There hasn't been a balanced budget.
If anybody wants to, doesn't want to come down here and ask on the mic, we're only asking that for the streaming so everybody can hear. So if you'd like to write it down, one of our students, and you raise your hand, one of the students will come and get it and then get your question asked.
Hello, everybody. I had a question also pertaining to the budget, and I wanted to ask the candidates if they were capable of making a fiscally responsible decision based on the tribe's finances and not popularity, or what isn't going to possibly have a negative impact on somebody. And so it's a two-part question. The first part is, are you able to make fiscally responsible decisions? And secondly, if presented with options to pass a balanced budget with zero deficit, would you exercise those options, or would you look for easier solutions that are not as detrimental to somebody's personal life or to your popularity?
Well, having sat there for a while, I know how it is to go through that process. But I also know how important it is to have the people that are responsible for the tribal budget to be knowledgeable. And then you can depend on them to give you clear and concise options, directions. And so, yes, I can make decisions that aren't based on popularity, that are based on necessity. I can do that. I've done that. And part of that process last year was to vote to give up being paid our annual leave when we left. And I voted for that. I didn't get paid for my annual leave. And that was because that was helping to balance the budget. And I did that. Brian did that. Maunka did that. We did that. Thank you.
Being fiscally responsible is probably one of the hardest things that we have to do with in the organization. There is a lot of money coming in from different places, and we own businesses that appropriate money to us. And I just believe that when someone votes you into these positions, that you need to look at their needs before your own. For me, that's a leader. For me to sit and be there and have this huge responsibility, and I have to take myself out of the picture and put everybody else in there, our kids, our grandkids, our grandparents, our brothers, our sisters, because it's not about me. It's not about the tribal council. You were voted in there to lead. You were voted in there to make those hard decisions. So yes, I can. And what was the other part?
If you had options to balance the budget, would you exercise them?
If I had options to balance the budget, would I exercise them?
Aren't popular and anything anybody wants to do in the normal course of decision making?
Yes, I would, because that's what you're being voted in there to do, to make those decisions, those tough decisions. And we need to support your treasurer or your chairman or whoever it is. and just try to work it out the best that you can. And, you know, if you're giving different options, and I remember you said that if there was options, you know, which one is best going to suit us? Thank you.
I can say from this past year's experience that there has been times when I've had to ask questions, and I've had to listen to those that were in the know, those that were involved with the tribal finances. And there's a lot of information that exists within the finance department and also with the treasurer. And we're not always privy to that. We hear it maybe once or twice a month, and then we have to absorb it. And then if there's any questions, you know, I try to ask those questions. And as far as options and popularity, you know, we've been faced with you know, some options this past year, and one of the options was not having a stimulus, and that was tough for a lot of us. And I don't think it's the end yet, because you know, not only do we have to make sacrifices, physical sacrifices, but you know, the whole tribe's going to have to endure until we're able to be in a position where we can progress and develop things for our children, and then also for our senior citizens. So we need to, you know, look at those areas.
Anytime you talk money, you're in an extreme amount of trouble. Sometimes there's nothing you can do to be right. You catch hell from all sides. You make a decision based on what you think is best for the tribal community and go with it. And yes, I can make the tough, difficult decisions for the tribe and live with my decision.
I think being a across the board kind of person can fulfill those two questions, make the cuts and make hard decisions, and it will affect people, and that's a hard thing to do. But being across the board, make sure it's done across the board with everybody, and that's hard, and that's what needs to be done.
All right, our candidates are going to take a 5-minute break and then come back here, 7:06.
We're diving in.
Water bottles. I know. We gave them a whole bottle of water. Yeah.
Going pretty good. There's about 12 people that tuned in, and they'll have a copy of it. Writing it down now. Very good sister girl.
Oh, okay. I was wondering who from Omaha was calling me. Yeah, that's, it still, mine still shows it's called. Six five oh. No, yeah, that's what it shows up. Okay, I'm hoping to call you for a candidate for him. But I got your voicemail. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay. 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 Tomorrow. Because I don't know when I'm gonna get out of here. Okay. A little early. No. Maybe around 9. Are you gonna be around? Okay. All right, I'll see you then. Thank you.
Before we get started with the next question, we have a few announcements. Election notice, regular election is tomorrow. Polls are open 8 to 8 in the Blackhawk Community Center. You're voting for 3 positions and they're 3-year terms. Also, Wednesday, October 5th, the swearing in to the newly elected tribal council members will be at 9 a.m. in the council chambers. Okay?
Good evening. I would like to ask this panel 2 questions concerning 2 issues within our reservation. First issue is we all know that there's a high substance abuse and mental illness issue on our reservation. What I want to know is why isn't our alcohol and drug program working in a collaborative effort with our DDU? Why isn't our DDU being utilized like it should be? How do you propose to address that issue? That's my first question, the first issue. My second question is that there's an issue with housing here on our reservation. A lot of our tribal members are stacked up and not living in their own homes. And I see that our financial branch, HCI, is constructing homes over there in South Sioux in a floodplain. And I want to know, why aren't we providing homes here on our reservation when there's a need for our own tribal members? How are we going to address that issue? Those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
I'd like to answer the first question of why the breakdown in the alcohol and drug dependency unit. First of all, we as a council realize that it's not being run efficiently, but our wishes to have the administration of that facility changed goes to undeaf ears. They know in the health department what's wrong with that alcohol program and halfway house, and take no measures whatsoever to correct the situation. Until we get forceful with that issue and concern, it's not going to change. The fact that there are Winnebago people that could very well staff and operate that program, and they're not being utilized. People from other areas, different tribes are coming in there to be counselors when we have people, Winnebago people, that are capable of doing that. So really, the concern about the alcohol program really goes on deaf ears and isn't being answered. Okay, my minute's up on that one, but he asked 2 questions. The second one is Ho-Chunk Incorporated is building homes in Sioux City that will require a lot of money to dwell in. That money, much of it, is going to be used to subsidize homes in Winnebago. We know that people don't pay the real cost of owning and living in a home. Yes, they stack up on one another because the concept of owning your own home and having your own family just isn't there, whether it's because they want to pay rent or they want to make house payments or not. So that's why homes are being built in South Sioux. So the money from that can subsidize homes that can be built in Winnebago. That's just one situation. The second situation is that we have housing authorities that can't get together to develop homes because one has an issue over another issue. The second question is really critical because we're hurting ourselves by one housing authority and another housing authority fighting with each other as to who owns those homes, leaving nobody the ability to get the money from HUD to build and repair homes. It's as simple as that.
That is true. On the question of the DDU, I'm a product of the old DDU. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm alive now because of it. And I chagrin at the fact that it's in the shambles the way it is now. And I recommend that the tribe contract and take over the operation of the DDU. But that's not easy to do. You run into government entities, and we have to fight with the Omaha tribe for the right to do that. On the issue of HCI, there's 3 questions I've asked. You have to spend money to make money. We build houses in the mobile home. I got 3 minutes because I got 3 questions. We have a company that manufactures homes and brings them here. So we make money. And the type of housing that's amenable to tribal people or subsidized housing. The Winnebago Housing and Development Commission has plans. They're already drafted up for the rehab of 45 units in the village of Winnebago, and plans to go after a facility, housing facility for veterans. But we have a problem. We won't build on houses on land the tribe doesn't own. And somehow we got to work out arrangements with the village of Winnebago to get that housing project going. I'm the one that catches hell when people come in and raise hell about all those buildings boarded up. And I detest it. I don't like to catch hell. But I take it with a grain of salt. With a grain of salt. But we're working on it. Jeannie and I wrestle with this problem every board meeting we have. And it doesn't seem to be going away. I want to be building houses. My time is up. I thought she was asleep. She's wide awake.
Okay, there was 2 questions, and I think the first question pertained to our drug problem in our community. Now, if we look at it realistically, we do have a drug problem in our small community, and much of it has to do with the use of meth. And our relatives, when they use this drug, it affects how they live. It affects their daily life. And we do have situations where families are living with other families, or individuals are living with other families. And there is a likelihood that these individuals that live with other families, they're the ones that are using drugs, and they don't have the desire because of the drug usage. And as far as dealing with the problem, and DDU and the alcohol program, it was realized that IHS took over DDU. If some of you remember, those that are old enough, the DDU was operated basically by the local service unit, but now it becomes a regional drug dependency unit, which causes some problems for our tribal members. We're attempting to resolve that, but it takes time. And we do have some behavioral problems in our community. I've heard it, people tell me what they see on Facebook. We have our young people, breaking into homes, burglarizing our homes. And there is some behavioral problems. And I feel that, it should start in the home, start teaching our people, and getting back to the traditional values that we had before. In the past, our tribe has had problems, but it seems like it wasn't as large as it is now. And when it comes to the housing, we've always had that problem. And to build a typical single dwelling home, it costs well over $150,000, depending on the type of home. And not only does that dwelling cost you money, but the infrastructure costs also. You need to get sewer, you need to get water, you need to get electricity to those units, and that costs money. And if we're going to balance the budget, we have to look at that too. And there is a plan, but I believe that we have a problem that exists in our community. We have three entities that come to mind now that deal with housing, and each one of them, they have their own policies and regulations. And in order for somebody to qualify for a home, they have to be under a certain income requirement, or if they want to buy a home, they have to have a high income. And then there's those individuals that are single. They don't qualify for housing in our community. The veterans, single veterans, they don't qualify because of the policies and regulations. The policies and regulations, are fine, but they're hurting a lot of our people. And we need to look closer at that. How can we make things better for every individual?
As long as I can remember, we had a housing issue here in Winnebago. And, even today, my kids are living together in the same dwelling, my older kids, because there is no housing. And the houses that we do have, they're substandard. And, I stayed in one of the apartments and it had mold. And, my kids were sick all the time, and we don't want that. And I think that our tribe has been working really hard on trying to do this, to try to provide homes because it's an ongoing issue. And right now I only see HCI leading that. And yeah, we can all be upset that there's some homes going up in Sioux City and they're developing up there. But that money that's going to come in isn't going to be under any restrictions. That's just going to be our money. So we don't have to worry about what the federal government's going to say or anybody else, who we can put in there. You know, we can put our own people in there, not just, you know, everybody who puts in an application. So, yeah, it's you might be mad or upset about that, but I'm not. You know, we need to support our companies that are going to go in and do stuff like that for us. We might not see the general plan right now, but the outcomes of it are going to be better for us. And I really don't know what's going on with our housing down here, because I see those houses boarded up too. I drive around, I see them, and it's upsetting. You know, why aren't they fixing them? But, you know, we can't really do anything about that. So, you know, they're under either the state or somebody else. You know, we've always had to grow up on HUD here. And HCI is providing that opportunity for everybody to take the home buyers classes. They have a down payment assistance program. You know, everybody has that same opportunity. And, you know, we really need to take that. I was sitting there when you brought up the meth situation, because it touches my family closely. And for my family fighting to get help for our family member, it's been a tough battle, because there is no help. Honestly, there isn't. All these things that they've tried to do to get this person and my family help, they haven't been able to do it. And so I guess that, you know, I am not sitting on the council right now, so I can't answer, you know, a lot of those questions that you put forth, because I don't know what's going on internally with that program. I don't. And so all I can do is speculate, or, you know, just try to find out what information.
What would you do?
What would I do to address it? I would just go in and find out what's going on then. I'd get in there and just say, you know, what are we doing? And why isn't this working? Because it's not. You know, I just see a lot of people that are touched by this problem that we have. And it's a big problem. And we're sweeping it under the rug. We got to stop doing that. Anyway, thank you.
I want to make one more comment. Roland, it's real simple. The Housing Authority has the money, the opportunity, and the ability to go ahead and renovate a bunch of houses and build a bunch of new ones. They have the resources to do that. The village has the title that's stopping that. You can't build a home on land that isn't yours. The village has the deeds, and they won't work with the housing program to come together, turn them deeds over so that the Housing Authority can put the money into building homes. That's how simple it is.
Well, it seems like the DDU is an ongoing issue. It's been going on for a while. And I think it's because of lack of leadership in that program. And more specifically, Aberdeen robbed that program blind. They took the money. That's why it stands empty. And now the Omahas want to take over on it. And so that's the battle they're fighting, too. Along with what happened to our hospital. Why isn't anybody concerned about that? It's still unaccredited. There's still problems, big problems in the ER. It's not well. How can it make us well? You know, that's what I'm concerned about, because I send my family over there, my little grandchildren. They go over there. And Rollins' questions are really relevant to everyday life. They impact everybody. And some of those houses are boarded up because I'm on the Housing Commission. I'm a commissioner. And one of the stoppers on that program of fixing those houses up was that we put out bids for an environmental review, an ER. Nobody would put a bid in. No one. And we sent them all over. So we tried it again. Same thing. No one would bid. So we contacted HUD, and they sent trainers. And we all began training to do an ER. And that's what held that up. These houses that were boarded up, there was going to be 15 of them. We were trying to get 5 bids. Each one of them, you know, would do X amount of houses. But so far, you know, we're still waiting on that ER to come back where we can do these things. Did I answer your two? Did I? Okay. Thank you.
I think our alcohol, drug, and problem, mental, even you can throw in child support for single families, single parents, is a problem nationwide, worldwide. And we can just hope and pray and keep the fight to get somebody to get in there and step up the work, you know, push it, try and make it better, try every day to beat those, our drug and alcohol and mental problems. With those two programs not working together, I don't know, but I think, you know, they should and they could work together. They have to, being here on this reservation. We have to want that. We have to expect it. In the housing, I'm still learning stuff. I see stuff. I always wondered a long time ago, I don't know, not being a smart guy, we build homes in Minnesota. How come we don't have them here? How come we're not building them here, creating jobs? Maybe it'd be easier to put a house down here if we was building them here. There'd be more jobs. And I agree, you know, we have a housing problem and it needs to be fixed somehow. Hopefully, let's hope and pray that, you know, we get people that will do it. Thanks.
Joy wants to know, why did you run and what are your major areas of concern?
I ran because I have desire. And it even kind of goes beyond that. And it goes back to how betrayed I felt by that previous council that did what they did. And I trusted them. All those years I voted for them because I thought they were doing a good job. I thought they were honest men and women. And then, come to find out, they weren't. They were not. And that's when a desire was born in me to try and serve the people the best of my ability, the best way I knew how. I'm a hard worker. I'm honest. I'm straightforward. And I care about each and every one of you. Every tribal member. I care what happens to you because what happens to you happens to me too. And so I have our best interest at heart. Thank you. Was that all of it?
What was your areas of concern?
The hospital, for one. I never hear anything about the hospital. You know, is it on track to be reaccredited? Where are we in that process? Are we in the process? When I was on the council those 5 months, that's all that consumed us, the budget and the hospital. And now I hear about the budget, but not the hospital. And that worries me. And I want to see it resolved. I want to see us be reaccredited. I think we all should not rest until that happens.
I'm running for tribal council to always for the children, for our elders, and our students. Honestly, and that's why I would continue to say, I say everything's going to be across the board. Budgets, travel, everything, salaries, education. Forgot the second question. My concerns are the hospital, budgets, our casino, housing, and like I said, our children, our elders, and our students and our people. Those are my concerns.
I was asked by the tribal council to serve for 5 months, and I accepted. And it's been a terrible time when I realized the injustice that had been done by the previous council to the tribe, and that we had to rectify it. It was a tremendous challenge. But I don't live in doom and gloom. My father-in-law is from Rosebud. He comes to Winnebago, and he's amazed at the things we have. we're doing a hell of a lot better than we think. Yes, we have problems, but we're tackling a lot of issues, and we're doing good, so we don't have to live in doom and gloom. But we also have to face the reality of problems that came about. It was my Tunske that died on the floor in that hospital. It led to the loss of accreditation. I think about Polly, and I've dedicated my life and my activities in working toward the day when that hospital is accredited and we take over and compact so that we run it. It's not easy to do. We've had to change our HR program, our accounting program, so that we meet new levels, new standards. And I want to tell you students, you may be the answer to the prayers of the elders that you come back with your skills and knowledge and help us achieve that dream of running our own hospital, doing it the Winnebago way, doing it right, in compliance with CMS. It doesn't rely on the tribal, it doesn't rest on the tribal council, it rests on the tribal people. And we rise up to meet the standards. You can do it. I got a lot of other issues, but I run out of time.
I'm probably like everyone else in this room. You know, we stand around and we look at things and we see how things are functioning. And as you all, you know, I stood back and said, well, if I was in that position, I could do this, or if I was there, I could do that. And yeah, I'm fortunate. I believe I'm fortunate that you know, God has given me some common sense and has given me some drive, you know, to make things better for all my relatives, and to make things better for, you know, this community. You know, just to add on to what Louis just said, you know, what his father-in-law had said about this community. You know, I've traveled quite a bit, and I've lived on various reservations, worked on reservations outside of here, and I've heard him say that the Winnebago Reservation, the town of Winnebago, you know, is the most attractive Indian community that they know of. And there are some nice communities out there, but you know, this one stands out. And I, for one, I'm proud of that. That you know, that our people, you know, take care of what they have. And I would just like to see that, you know, continue and make it a little bit better, you know, for the next generation and for the generation after that. And my concern is the use of drugs in our community, and then the safety of our relatives in this community. You know, I want to make sure somehow to provide, you know, a place where our relatives, our families, you know, will feel comfortable. There's a lot more, but I was just given time here.
When I was going to school, when I was going to college, we had an instructor. Her name was Carolyn Fiskus. Everybody called her Big Mama. And one day she was talking to me and she said, "Sharon, you should run for the tribal council." And I said, "No, I can't do that." And she said, our women, we've gotten to that where our women are being educated more than our men. And she said, and there's a trend that, the educated women are going to outnumber the educated men. So I kind of took it with a grain of salt and, never really thought past it. Then we recently had this scandal, and I took part in that because at first it was out of anger. My grandkids' future, I have grandkids, my kids, and everyone else. And it was hurtful because the people that did that to us, that's our family. Each and every one of us is related to them. And it was a hard thing to go through. But, we have to police ourselves. We have to stand up for our own people who can't do it for themselves. Our elders, our kids. And so that's what I wanted to do. And after I was going to the council meetings and everything, I was thinking, I can do this. I can sit there and make a decision, but I can also get out and make things happen. One of the things that I do like doing is if somebody has a good plan, I like to put steps in order to get that done. Not just sit and talk about it. I've never been that way. I've always been a person who likes, going from point A to point Z, take the steps to get there. So there's an outcome. And so that's why I thought, we have a lot of planners and we need them. People have good ideas, but we also need those people who can, step up and make sure that all these things are happening. My concerns are, the future of our kids, the future of Little Priest, because it's very important to our community, to our kids, that they have that first step into their adulthood where they're able to come up here and be a part of the college. Oh, I got the time, got the cuts. But, and the hospital has been a main concern also. We've all lost somebody, and, that was dear to us. Or we've had someone go down there and we got substandard care where they didn't take care of our people. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of, them sending us people who don't want to do anything for us. They want to sit down there and earn that big paycheck. And then when it comes time to dealing with the hard issues, then they move them. That's got to stop. But how do we do it? I know that our tribal council has been working on it. Maybe we don't see it every day, but there's somebody there working on it. And I got a now, so. All right, thank you.
Keith said, "What is transparency?"
So now that I got another 2 minutes, no. Transparency is being able to see what's going on within our institution. And having those people that are making the decisions be able to show us, to tell us this is what we have going on, and never worried about it because they want us to know and they want to show you those things. And it's really important to the people because we have this distrust right now in our leaders. And I don't want to say that it's these leaders, but, you know, you're hesitant now to trust anybody. And I know that we're going to get through that, and I know we're going to work through those hard times, but I just think that we've seen it a lot more than we have in the past, but I think we could still do better on it.
Well, to me, transparency means everything is on the table for everybody. You want to see it? There it is. You have access to it. And transparency means that there's minutes to every meeting. And those minutes are in chronological order. There's a second, and there's a vote. That's transparency. Transparent. And that includes salaries. Some of these salaries of directors are outrageous. You know, there's a way to release those without giving away who they are. But those are things that tribal members should know, because each one of those programs provide a service or services to tribal members. And so you're part of that process. And we have the right to know what's going on in it. How is it being utilized? How is the money being spent? That's our right as tribal members. We have to get used to exerting our rights because we've become complacent. When I was down there, I would look out at the empty chairs, and I wish there would be people sitting in them, caring enough to go down there and listen, because it's a lot different than spreading it on Facebook. To be sitting there, looking at each council member face to face. And that's what needs to happen. People have to go. That's why what happened, happened. Nobody goes. Nobody went. Nobody cared enough to go. And so we were treated very roughly. They didn't care because we didn't care. Thank you.
Transparency is like looking through dark glasses both directions. We need transparency with the tribe. And we've been very sure to make sure that the tribe gets copies of the minutes. When I got on board, one of the problems we found out is that we spend a lot of money on a treasurer and no minutes. So a lot of their activities were illegal. But we need transparency with the county to find out how much money they're getting, how much money, tax money, is coming from the Indian community. We need it from the school board. we need it from the village, because that village impacts a lot of our tribal people. And I want to know what they're doing with their audit exceptions in their last audit. And we ought to be able to request an audit from the village and the school board and the county, so we can see and examine for ourselves what's going on. It's not just the tribe, it's the whole community. And Lance gets his little booklet about activities with HCI, and it fills up the trash can in the post office. That's a waste of our money when they do that. They should just put it in a pile and save them. Let somebody else read them that wants to read them, or not spend so much money on those reports. So transparency is a two-way street.
About every 5 or 10 years, we always come up with buzzwords, and over the past few years, the buzzword that stands out is transparency. And the way I look at it, what does transparency mean? I can only give you an illustration of what I think. Giving an example of, we have a clear stream flowing down, and if we're able to look into it, we can see the bottom of it. There's nothing affecting the appearance of it. And as far as how it applies to tribal government, how it applies to operation of our tribe, there needs to be some openness. And certainly there needs to be some trust, and there needs to be honesty. And all these things, I believe that I can provide as a councilman. Thank you.
Transparency. I think all our programs, our budgets should be transparent, equally the same. Every business we have should be transparent. How the tribe wants to do things, how and that's something that should be done. Everything should be transparent, the same. And we'll try and work on that. I hope the council does work on that.
Good evening, candidates, and thank you for your attendance at this community forum. As we all know, the U.S. government operates with a representative Congress, and for decades, the U.S. government has operated in a severe deficit because of that representative nature. Also, knowing that under tribal law, it is illegal to spend money that has not been approved, how in specific have you acted to prevent this kind of deficit behavior coming from mere representation? And in what specific ways do you enact leadership on a daily basis that creates opportunity versus simple representation that perpetuates the deficit mentality?
Could you repeat your question? I'm serious, Brian.
operates with a representative Congress. For decades, the U.S. government operates in a severe deficit, using that representation type of government. Further, knowing that under tribal law, it is illegal to spend money that has not been approved, how in specific have you acted to prevent this kind of deficit behavior coming from mere representation? In what specific ways do you enact leadership on a daily basis that creates opportunity versus representation that perpetuates that deficit mentality?
Well, I'll give it a shot. Yeah. Well, it goes back to education. The more educated your brain is, the easier it is to process all of the information that comes at you every day, all day long. Not just Monday to Friday, but Monday to Monday. And as part of that, it's having people doing the best job that they can with their education that you've put there to do that. And to feed you that information. So that you can make the best decision based on what they've researched and put forth to you. Because unless they're in a unique position like you were and like Tori is, that you go one step beyond just representing, you're actually working at a job, within a job, then everybody else is sitting waiting for this information so that we can do something with it. So that we can compare what is best, the best course of action to take. The best course of action should be a consensus of the table where you all sit and share all of this information. And that, to me, is what a good representation of that would be, is sharing and working and talking and discussing to arrive at the best, what's best for this tribe. Did I answer? Thank you.
I would expect it. I would want it to be. I would hope people are doing that, doing the job right. And we need to monitor, people need to monitor people, make sure they're doing the job right, and expect it, and hope it's getting done right. Yeah.
Because I'm not actually sitting there, I can only say that, some of the things that I would try to do or that I would plan to do is, I guess, work on the transparency and try my best to, it's really hard to answer that because I haven't sat there. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of the question. But I think with all of our combined efforts and the knowledge. It can't be just one person sitting there doing it. And that's the whole thing about our 9-person council, is that, we can sit there and make promises or say we're going to do this and that, but it has to be a combined effort, and it has to be a consensus on what's going to happen. I don't even have enough to fill up that minute. So, but, I'm sitting there I would need more time to think about it, but, we all hope, we all want good things for our tribe. We all want good things for, our children and our grandchildren and our elders. And it's just, right now, it's a hard question to answer, because I haven't had that experience to sit there where they are right now.
Brian, it's a hard question for me to answer also, especially in light of the fact that sometimes I'm not as strict on operating within a budget that doesn't allow for a deficit. I know that's the federal law, and I don't know how many organizations or governments in this country don't operate under a deficit from time to time. And the reason I say it's from our land, from whatever other resources that come into this tribe, sometimes it's easy for me to forego that budget or that request for money and it have an effect on a deficit. I'm kind of responsible for a program that makes money available to people when relatives fall into serious illness and need transportation money to go to see a loved one that's in a hospital or whatever. It's hard for me sometimes to say no to a family that needs money to bring loved ones back for a funeral. I have a difficult time with that, but it's made easier knowing that, hey, this tribe has resources that can compensate for that. I can't think of how much we've been blessed with in that we're able to do that. I feel sorry for tribes that their members just have to go it alone. So I'm guilty about not always being cautious about our deficit, and even sometimes throwing caution to the wind is not in my DNA. I don't know if I've answered that in the right way, but I'm just trying to justify why sometimes I don't adhere to the law of living within a budget.
Congress isn't so sacrosanct that they don't have problems themselves. They hold up continuing resolutions just to make Obama look bad. And they've done a lot of things to make him look bad. And House resolutions are one. We go sometimes from one crisis to the next. One day, the transformer at Winnebagus went down. And that shuts down, it costs us money, a loss of revenue. When the floods came and we had to protect our casino, that cost us money and it impacted us. So it's a pretty subjective question, but we just try to do the best we can.
Several years ago, I worked with the tribe, and we only had around 8 or 9 programs at that time. And then, because we were so small, it was easier to operate. But if you look at the tribe today, you know, it has an abundance of programs and benefits for the tribe and tribal members. And as the congressional people, you know, they're elected to represent, you know, their district. And the tribal council are elected to represent their membership. And, you know, it's a known fact that the U.S. government has always operated in a deficit. And that was mentioned earlier. You know, there's our small tribe, you know, has operated in a deficit for years, and we've survived. We made things better, and we build, and we created programs. So those things can be done, and you know, it's only common sense. It's only common sense that, you know, you don't spend the money that you don't have. Not only is it, you know, a tribal, it's also a state and federal law. If you don't have the money, you can't spend it, and that's only common sense. And we put our trust in the treasurer and the finance personnel to control the finances, and they provide the information for us. And giving that information, you know, we decide if it's going to work or not. And can you imagine if you had 9 individuals going into the finance department, and they're trying to manipulate, trying to control what goes on? It doesn't function. And that's why we put our trust in the treasurer.
HCI, the village, housing, I can't remember their name now. They all want to build homes and renovate homes. And in doing all that, we have families that are living with other families, mothers and fathers taking care of their children and then their children. But in all of that, how are you going to create jobs? Where are the jobs? People need to work. Our median age is 18. In 2013, it was 23. It's 18 now. A majority of our people are unemployed. Some of it has to do with our education, but we want to know, how are you going to create jobs for our people so that we can rent homes or buy homes?
Well, for one of the entities in town, in the village, could try and attract industry. There's a few at HCI, but it seems like they must have really good bonuses or something, because nobody ever quits. And the jobs that are available through those companies that HCI has, they're filled. And it seems like the only ones that do become open are the low-wage jobs, the laborers, the ones that do the actual work. And a lot of the people that come back and want to move back, they're more qualified for that. So we have to have like a think tank that's going to try and attract, think of ways to attract businesses that pay a good salary, that I know HCI, and I keep referring to them, but they are our business arm. They have these kind of businesses, but they're not here. We need some here. And in the short term, that would alleviate some of that. Because not only are we ran out of homes, but every year, think about it, every year the graduating class is bigger. So that means that these people are going to be starting their own families. And maybe they don't want to leave Winnebago. Maybe they want to stay here. They're going to need a home. They're going to need a home we don't have. So they're going to be stacked up with mom or dad, or mom and dad. So we have to start thinking not only of bringing in industries to here. I'd like to see that whole area out there filled with like what Lance has created there. Do more of that. We need more of that.
As mentioned earlier, Little Priest is considering developing a VOTEC program here. And some of the areas that we need development and we need employment, certainly housing construction. We have a lot of males that are unemployed, and they need to be trained. And then we need to develop something here on the reservation where we can create employment and develop housing, construct our own homes, take care of ourselves. And if we do that, in the long run, it's going to be cheaper to develop housing. Housing construction is only one. Other areas is that we have young people that may be interested in law enforcement. Bring them on as police officers. There are plans of having a nursing home. There's a need for employment in that area, but also there needs to be training where we can employ our own, take care of our own. And those are just a few. There's a lot of potential. But we need to develop that plan and start working in that direction.
That's a hard question to answer. I've been involved in starting up or helping several industries get started. Henry Moore and Lamont Industries, Tom Dahlheisen and Cedar Timbers. And I was the director of the MDTA training program, a program between Northeast Nebraska Technical Community College and a tribal community where we trained carpenters. And a lot of our young men got carpenter training. So it takes a lot to get an industry to come to a reservation, because sometimes they have to overcome their stereotypes of Indian people. I remember one time a Winnebago named Leroy was working on a cedar timbers unit in Santee, and they had a white electrician from around Niobrara. And Leroy went up to that electrician and was teasing him. Said, "You put that damn thing in right. This is a Winnebago project. It has to be done right." That electrician was using the level to put up a junction box. First time they seen him do that. But he knew that we rose to higher standards. But that industry went out of business. Lamont was a modular manufacturing company, but it was ahead of its time. They didn't buy many buildings, but now they buy modular homes like hotcakes. So sometimes you have to wait for your time to come. But I'm open to anyone that has an idea that we can take a look at to see if we can bring an industry to the reservation.
Kelly, just to answer your question, there's 4 jobs at the alcohol program that could be filled by Winnebagos right now. There's 16 job app openings posted on a bulletin board down at the community building. So it's not all a matter of no jobs. There's a little play in there of who wants to work.
I was sitting there thinking the same thing Kenny was. You know, I pulled up the Winnebago Tribe's website and I seen a lot of jobs on there. And where I'm working right now, it's hard to get people to work, you know, and or get up and come to work. And I know everybody has to deal with that, but, you know, we are a job-rich community, just like how we have all of our, you know, the nice hospital and the houses. You know, I wish a lot more of our people would go into the medical field so we can fill some of those positions down at the hospital. I know our police force is lacking right now. I would hope that, you know, we would have some of our young men step up and go into those positions. You know, we can do that. There's a lot of things that we can be doing that we already have something here. And it's just how do we get our people into those positions? You know, and it's going to start here at Little Priest. It's going to start, you know, with the commitment to wanting to work. You know, and a lot of that is getting a home, or, you know, and it's just small things. If you want to live out on your own, you know, sometimes we make it easy for our kids to live with us. You know, kick them out, tell them they got to get a job. You know, make them work, because, you know, we're not doing that anymore. We need to go back to those traditional values. You know, I remember my kaka telling me, you need to go out and get a job. You know, you can't just sit at home. So, you know, I could sit here and be all political and say all the right things, but that's the honest truth. People have to want to work. And, you know, we can't sit there and hand it to them. They have to get up and get that application and make it to the interview and tell them why they should be hired. That's all.
I agree with what was said. Look at our ratio out to the casino at the hospital. I don't know who's working the hospital, but I'm going to say I like it for the Winnebago or the Omahas, because they're working. They're working out to Winnebago's. They got a lot of jobs at the hospital. Maybe we could create jobs like heating and cooling, automotive, all our needs that we go to the city for. Be funded through payroll deduction, tell people, some people, you guys should do payroll deduction. People out of town who do automotive work, you know, a lot of, because we all have cars, we're all doing good, we all have money. And maybe that's where some of our jobs can come from. And always, like I said, why are we rebuilding houses here? And two, you know, we got to get the guys out working, you know. That would take care of our child support problems, you know. We gotta want to work.
How do you feel about exploring industrial hemp for our tribe's economic development?
We're already exploring it. How much time do I have left?
How do you feel about exploring industrial hemp for our tribe's economic development?
Right from the get-go, I thought it was a good idea. I haven't been in on any of the information that I know that the Tribal Council has been getting. But if it's going to bring jobs, you know, to us, let's look at it. If it's going to bring, you know, people to our community that are going to utilize our businesses, let's do it. You know, but let's make sure that we've taken all the steps necessary and that we're protected and that we're not getting into something where we're over our head. You know, let's just be smart.
I used to say, a friend with weed is a friend indeed. I don't say that anymore. But the industrial hemp the young lady is talking about, you can burn your lungs out and never get high. So there's things you can make out of industrial hemp that are profitable. But the problem is a situation with your federal attorney in the state that you live in. And we have a bad federal attorney for anything about marijuana in the state of Nebraska. So we would have a tough row to hoe. On the Iowa side of the river, we have a different situation. We have a site where we could use medical marijuana. And it's not what you think it is, but it's marijuana that's extracted from the plant and can be used in a medical form for a whole series of illnesses. But everyone is hung up on reefer madness and the stereotypes about marijuana. And so that is a stumbling block for developing good sound programs. But we're taking a look at it, see what we can do. It can provide jobs, good ones.
The tribe has already made efforts to explore it, but there are some things that need to be considered. The cannabis and hemp are in the same category, and it's still illegal to possess it, illegal to distribute it, and to manufacture it. Until those laws are changed, we're going to have a difficult time in getting something like that done on this reservation. When the idea first came up, and this was last year, and we visited a operation up north, and come to find out that this operation was shut down because it was illegal. And the tribe had invested millions of dollars in this operation, and they lost it all. And I don't know if they're going to continue it, but we have to be cautious. Are we going to invest our own money in a product that is still considered illegal? And the Tribal Council passed a resolution in February 2015 where it was illegal to possess it, distribute it, and manufacture it on the reservation. So we have to consider those things too.
Well, I know there's a lot of money to be made in hemp-based products. And a lot of the products are really good. And they're just household products, household uses. And I'm for that part of it, because revenue is tight. And if Donald Trump gets in there, it's going to get tighter. And we need to start looking out for ourselves. And if that means exploring something that an outside entity says, no, you can't do that. We say you can't do that. Well, where's that sovereignty we're always talking about? Why can't we do, as a sovereign people, what we want to do, what we want to explore? Instead of made to feel like if we even hear about it, if we even want to learn about it, we got to go hide in a building somewhere. Oh, go cut that hemp down along the road there. They might raid us. This is our land. This is our homeland. This is all we got left. We had this whole country. And now we've got this reservation here. Why can't we do what we want to do? We're sovereign.
I would consider yes to that. What happened up to Flanju, or was it Siston? I would say we should sit back and wait until it's approved, till it's allowed, not invest and spend a lot of time on it. It may create jobs. It may be a very wealthy investment. I don't understand Nebraska. With their gaming, why they allow gaming in Council Bluffs. They don't allow it, but they don't allow it in Nebraska, and our people are going, they're going to gamble. And I wish they would allow more gaming here, as far as maximum as we could do it. Also, that would be if they would allow the hemp and cannabis. And hope and pray, it doesn't cause a lot of trouble.
Will you be accountable for your time if elected? For example, arriving on time, not taking personal time during the day, not leaving early, and will you support each other and be a team player?
Can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear.
Will you be accountable for your time if elected? For example, arriving on time, not taking personal time during the day, or not leaving early. Are you a team player? Will you support each other?
So what do I say? Yeah, 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 of course, of course, of course. I consider myself a team player, and I guess if you would take time and ask me personally how I did when I was down there for 5 months. Benny knows because he was with me every day. We were there at 8 o'clock every morning. And sometimes we didn't leave right at 4:30. We left at noon for lunch and came back at 12:30. And we didn't take breaks if we were in a meeting. I didn't take a break. You sit there until the business is done. And I used to kind of jokingly tell these guys that I sat around the table with, it's been really fun playing with you today. Let's do it again tomorrow. And I still feel that way. I enjoy the challenge. I really do. I enjoy working for you. And I always tried to do my very, very best. I gave it my all. I gave it my heart. And Kenny knows I'm a team player. Kenny and I were always arguing. But you get it resolved. You get it done if you work together. That's the only way to do it. It has to be a consensus. Every issue has to be a consensus.
Together.
Kenny and Jeannie were arguing one day. They were really getting mad till somebody pointed out that they were both making the same argument. For the first 9 had Jeannie, Maunka, and Brian, and then the 6 other council members. And we formed as a team. We actually bonded. We came to like each other and had a lot of respect for each other. So that happens with the council. It happened to the one that I'm serving on now with Frank, Isaac, and Curtis. We have a bond where we help each other. We listen to each other. And I can feel the commitment from all of them, both councils, to fairly represent the tribe. I'm kind of old, but I haven't missed a day in the last 1.5 years. So I don't miss much work. And sometimes my days are 12, 14 hours. And Jeannie's right. We sit through long council meetings through the noon hour. So the commitment is there on my part. And if voted in, I'll try not to miss a day in the next 3 years. I just said that to see if Penny's listening.
Accountability is given. You decide to do something, and then you're accountable for that. And anybody that's been on the council, it's 24/7. It's not 8 to 4:30. And you get visitors at your home. You get requests. You hear concerns. And you don't always hear what's going on if you stay in the office 8 hours a day. You need to get out and talk to the employees, you need to talk to the program directors, and you need to talk to the tribal members that put you in those positions. So, accountability is always there. Then I just heard Louis, tell a fib here. He said 14 hours a day. Kenny and Louis are usually, they try to go to sleep at 8 o'clock, so you're cutting into their time.
Yes, I'm a team player. Accountability, I might be at my desk too much. With the Gaming Commission, I haven't traveled within the last 3 years I was there. So yeah, I would sure be accountable and be there. Okay.
The answer to that question would be yes. I do it already from where I work. I work on the weekends, so sometimes I give up my weekends and I might not have a day off. If I'm called in the evenings, I work in the evenings. And so, and I'm already working on a team, so, the answer to those questions are yes.
The DON did not hire a Winnebago tribal member, but hires non-Indians or people from other tribes. Will you be willing to support her and tell the DON she needs to hire this Winnebago RN? She is a hard worker and was critical of nurses who did not do their job.
I would be, because it really bothers me when I go over there and look around and I see just one or two familiar faces that are from here, that I know are tribal members. And the rest I know are Omaha. filling jobs that tribal members should have. Because as a Winnebago tribal member, I feel that that hospital belongs to the Winnebago people. That's the treaty hospital. That's what we were guaranteed by a treaty. Health care. And that was the concept when they were building it, was fulfilling a treaty obligation to the Winnebago people. I don't know how the Omahas became a part of that treaty when they're not in the actual treaty. So I want to know why all those Omahas are in positions and in influential positions when we got our own that could fill them.
Yeah.
I would always support to hire our own in all positions. It's, the way it sounds, it's still going on. Tribal members trying to fill a position and it's filled by a non-tribal member. Would it be micromanaging to step in like that, or do we make it a across the board kind of deal where all our programs do that, and our entities and that do that first? Make sure our tribal members are sitting in those top jobs, that we want them to succeed. We let them succeed, let them try to succeed.
Currently, the medical staff at the hospital are federal employees, and currently we don't have anything to say about who they hire. We can question it, but in the future, when the tribe does compact the hospital, then rest assured, if I'm on the council, I'll make sure that we have tribal members working there. When I worked at Winnevegas as the HR manager, I did as much as possible to ensure that we had tribal members going into various positions. And it was hard to do because we had non-tribal members, non-Indians that were in a position of hiring. And I had to be a little bit forceful to get our tribal members working there. And the same is going to apply at the hospital. Once we compact it, then we have control over that. We have control who's going to work in that hospital. We have control who's going to provide health care for our tribal members.
I'm always for the Winnebago people. Yes, so that would be my answer to that question. And if that's, what Frank is saying, and if it's, they're hired under the federal guidelines, and we're in a process of the compact, then when that time comes, of course, I'll be for our people.
Going to go to the hospital, meet with the GYN, anybody else that you need to say that you're in support of
said, the other part of the question was, will you go to the director of nurses and the CEO and, you know, to kind of demand that, you know, that they employ this Cocha RN? Because she was turned down once before when she applied for a job here. And it was because the DON was told that she was difficult to work with, but the real reason was because she would be critical of the nurses that were lazy, that didn't do their job, didn't want to be there. And that was her sin.
I experienced that kind of discrimination when I used to take my granddaughters down. My wife worked, we had custody of granddaughters, and I was known as that grandfather that brought his granddaughters in. So they were good to me. But I was having heart trouble one day or something. I felt kind of weak. And I went down and asked them to take my blood pressure test because I wanted to know right away. Next thing you know, I was getting hollered at. All kinds of things were happening to me. I said vulvocere in the English words. And I went down to ask one of the field health nurses. They took my blood pressure and checked me real quick. They didn't make a big issue out of it. And found out my pressure was a little low, but I was all right. And that I saw that nurse on newspaper making critical statements about nursing in Winnebago and how she was treated. But she treated me pretty skiddeek herself. But I think we need to take a look at how we set up a system, and we can do it under compacting that makes sure the best Winnebago nurses rise to the top, and we get quality people, and we create an environment that quality people are welcome here. We have to face the harsh reality sometimes that some of our worst employees are our own tribal members who don't study, who don't meet the standards, but expect the same pay as those that do. And it's a hard issue to deal with. But I'm all for rewarding and hiring competent, certified Winnebagos. That's where we got into trouble in the first place. It was a tribal member that couldn't figure out the heart machine, how it worked. That led to the death of my Chunske. So sometimes these questions are hard to answer.
I have a lot of questions written down regarding Constitution revision, transparency. I'm glad that question was asked about transparency, what it meant. And all of you gave really good responses, the way that you see it. Transparency, openness, accountability, straightforwardness, candor, easy to notice or understand, honest and open, not secretive. I think all of you covered that in whatever you said this evening, overall. So I think we all have a really good understanding of what transparency is to us and regarding our government. In the spirit of transparency, will you commit or will you support live streaming tribal council meetings in the spirit of transparency of what I just read? So that way, people that work and that cannot attend meetings every day, like you have meetings, like the tribal council has meetings almost every day, hopefully they do, I don't know, that members can see these meetings, see what our tribal representatives said, see what you supported, and that's transparency. Are each of you willing to commit to that? Because we talked about it. It's a real important issue, transparency, the buzzword. So I want to know what you feel about it, and are you willing to make that one of the first motions, so that way we can start having that real transparency regarding our tribal council meetings anyway. Thank you.
I, for one, in favor of live streaming our meetings, not only for the benefit of the those in attendance, but also for everyone that is capable of watching or listening to our meetings. You know, there's we have the equipment in place already. We have it available, and they did a test run today on live streaming. So hopefully in the near future, you know, that's going to happen. And then we'll get either see it on YouTube or however they're going to set it up. I'm not sure how it's going to be done, but I, for one, am in favor of it.
Yes, I would support live streaming to ensure integrity.
I don't think I'm that easy to manipulate. We were talking last couple of weeks ago when we had our mid-monthly meeting in the evening. And we started those mid-monthly meetings so that people who worked could come to the council meetings. And when we first started out, those monthly meetings were kind of hot and heavy, hostile, exciting. You get home, be just tired. This last meeting, nobody showed up but the council. And it was boring. So sometimes it doesn't work. But what could be a possibility is have our meetings during the day and send them out at night, like a rerun, so you see the same thing. But we could work on finding a way to make it work. I'm open to suggestions.
I like the idea of live streaming, and it keeps you honest, and then nobody can question you. And I guess the only concern that I would have is it going to be for just tribal members? Do we want everybody to know our business? Because there's some things out there that nobody else needs to know but us. And you know, I guess that would be my only concern. Would we have our own login as a tribal member? And, yeah.
You can't get more transparent than the way it is now with social media. You can't even have an executive session without everybody knowing within minutes what the executive session was all about. So I don't know where, from that standpoint, transparency is an issue, because it gets out of those council chambers as fast as it's presented by the people. The other thing is, out at the casino, they have 2 sports screens on this side, and then they have a middle real big screen, and maybe they can televise it out there. A lot of Winnebagos would catch it.
Or in the bingo hall. So was that a yes or no, Ken? Ken, was
What?
that a yes or no? Do you support live streaming or not?
You can't get any more liver than it is with your computer or with your...
But you're not on the computer though. Are you for live streaming or not?
Would you not vote for me if I said I'm not interested in it right now?
Me too.
I'm for it, yeah.
I'm for live streaming. I mean, it can't hurt. It's a step in the right direction. If we all want what we say we want in its transparency. But it won't beat having actual people in the room with you. Because actual people in the room with you, looking at you, makes you more cautious with the decisions you're making. It makes you examine, who am I doing this for? What am I doing it for? So yeah, I'm in favor of it, but I'm also a big booster for butts in the seats. We need those. We always will need those.
Part of that, the second part of that question is that, will you make that a priority and will one of you make the motion and second it and pass it?
Well, I'd make a motion. I don't know if it'd pass.
I'd vote yes.
But like I said, it won't hurt. It'd be a step in the right direction.
Cece, one time a while back, when I first got back on the council, there was a young gentleman that was using his camera to get what was going on at the meeting. And an elderly person stood up and said, "What are you doing filming me? I didn't give you permission to film me." Well, I didn't say to that person, I asked him to film so we could take a look at how to televise into the homes, what kind of process that would be. I should have stuck up for that man by saying that I asked him to do that. To this day, I regret that I didn't, because it fits right down that category of what you're saying, televising it into the home.
Where do you keep getting these questions?
This is the last one, and it's going to be a speed round, so you got 1 minute for this question. What do you think should be done about felons trying to get back into the work industry?
Be in support of that always. The casino is now at a 5-year waiting period for felons and people with serious crimes. It was 10. So yeah, we support that. And kind of forgive and forget. Everybody gets second chances, thirds, fourths. I support everybody. With exceptions with where you got to have background checks, I suppose that would be a problem for felons to get jobs in some places.
I work in gaming too. When we do the background checks, and it comes back that some people, when they're not able to get a license, so we try to find another position for them. And so, you know, we've always supported our tribal members, whether they were a felon or not. You know, it's just like we made a mistake, and the only thing that we can't do is if it's a theft charge, you know, and working with money. And so, I mean, everybody deserves another chance. Everybody, you know, we make mistakes, everybody does. But, you know, whoever it is, they might have a family to support, or, you know, to even just support yourself. You know, as a tribe, we can do whatever we want to, you know, so, you know, that's just a bridge that we have to cross when it comes up as employers.
In the work environment outside this reservation, you know, it really depends on, you know, the type of position that a felon would be eligible to go into. And the same thing, you know, would apply here. You know, if you want to be a police officer and if you're a felon, no way. It would depend on the type of position. And I believe that, you know, everyone needs a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance. I've always had this idea that no matter who you are, you know, there's always something good in them. And it just takes, you know, just one time to get a job, maybe one paycheck, you know, to change that person around. Before I got on the council last year, you know, the job I had at the casino is that, you know, I took care of the housekeeping department, and probably half of the housekeepers were felons, and my thought at that time was, you know, they need a chance. They're not eligible to go into any other position. So I felt at least give them a chance. And majority of them, they stayed. They stayed, and they end up getting themselves an apartment, getting themselves transportation. And when I go over there now, I see some of them. So it depends on the position. You know, they can't be, you know, going into sensitive positions because of the background.
Like the other candidates are saying, everybody needs a chance. Everybody needs a second chance. And, you know I'm not the same person I was last year. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I'm certainly not the same person I was 20 years ago. Everybody changes, and hopefully they grow in the right direction. But they need chances to do that. You can't just throw them back in the gutter. You got to help them stand up, dust themselves off, and go on. And help them along. Encourage them. You know, slamming doors in their faces isn't going to encourage. They'll have nothing to do but turn around and do the same thing, lead the same kind of lifestyle. You know, give them something to be proud of in here. even, handing them that paycheck. They earn that. And maybe that's the first time they've done that in their lives. Give them that pride. And like Frank was saying, they may be good people inside of there.
Look at Mike Tyson. On the Housing Authority, one area that we deal with, and Jeannie and I have to deal with this as one of the bigger Housing Development Corporation members, are felons that convicted of sexual assault. There's no conditions. We have to kick them out. And it's really bad to have to do that, because sometimes you're not only kicking the felon out, but the family leaves with them. So they can potentially become homeless. And we're not in the business of kicking people out. We're trying to provide them homes. But we have to make that decision. And I'm for working something out with felons that wouldn't cause us problems working with them, like police officers or whatever. But I won't take any moral guidance from a convicted felon. It's not my nature. But I'll give them a chance.
What's the last question?
That was it.
Oh, that was it?
Really?
Can I say something? I'd like to say that I served on the council 17 years off and on, and these last 18 months were probably the best months I ever served on the council. A lot of those 17 years, there was a lot of hostility and there was a lot of non-cooperation and all that. But these 18 months have really been satisfying to watch these young people move ahead. Even though we were a couple steps behind 18 months ago, we've made a lot of progress. And the reason I'm running again this year for a 3-year term is because it's just in my blood to be involved in politics. Now, I know that all of these people here have good ideas. And the bad news is that you can't vote for all of them. But the good news is you can vote for me, Kenny Mallory, and get all of those ideas in one vote. Now, how cool is that?
Meeting adjourned.
That's all I had.
Okay, since Kenny kind of opened it up, I'm going to give everybody a minute, if you would like it, to close us out with any remarks. It's getting late, so our IT guy is staying late and streaming still for us, so you have a minute. Then I'll go.
I left some handouts up there, and I ended each one with the same sentence, and that's vote responsibly. And by voting for me, you'll be doing that. But to serve your people makes you feel really good inside. No matter if you had a real crappy day, nothing went your way. At least you were there for your people. At least maybe you took that from happening to them. Because a lot of them that come before us, they're going through some really tough times, some really hard times. And we're the last hope. And we don't have the money that the other guys had. A lot of them, most of them, we got to say, sorry, no money. We can't help you. It's gone. And that's really hard to do. And that's what I mean by crappy. You might have several people like that come to you. But then something will turn around and be really, really positive. Like somebody out of the blue will say, oh, we got this grant and we'll be able to hire 20 people. And then your day just gets bright again. So it's things like that, that makes it worthwhile, that makes you want to do it. To set everything right again, to bring balance back to the membership's life, to the tribe's life. And that's what I enjoy doing.
Earlier today, I had made some plans. There's a Vietnam veteran that's lying in state at the Native American Church, and my plan when I heard was that I was going to go over there and sit up with him at a funeral meeting. But then again, I thought that this candidates forum was scheduled for last week, and then they put it off for tonight. And I didn't talk that. This lady over here is getting tough on time. Okay. I want to invite each one of you down to the fire hall tomorrow. We're going to have breakfast, and then we're going to have lunch at noon, and then we're going to have soup and firebread. And if if you come down, you can ask me any questions you want, and I'll try and answer those and be open with you. So the invitation's out there.
If you pass the fire hall, don't pass the Reformed Church, because that's where Kenny and I be feeding people at noon. We got 3 kinds of soup. Mark, his son's chili, Kathy, my sister's soup, and Luann's soup. So you're bound to get a good meal. You're all welcome. I didn't ever think I'd be appointed to the tribal council the way I was. And I served a lot of years, 5 years as your chairman, and 10 other years as just a council member. I've been through hell and high water. First term, first 4 years during the AIM hostile activities, I looked down a rifle barrel 3 different times. So I've been through stuff. And I have a lot of experience. And I think I have a lot of depth. I can work with any one of these candidates here. But if you vote for me and my brother, you're going to get a tag team. Because we work together. Jeannie and Brian and others will probably tell you that we worked with them as a team too, because we put our differences aside and looked after the best interests of the tribe, and I'm willing to do that. And I've dedicated my heart and soul to restoring that hospital to wellness because it's sick. CMS said it was sick. And if it's going to be well, it's because Winnebago people put a plan together to make it well. And I've been part of that team. And I want to stay on the council to carry through the vision that the tribe has. So thank you very much.
Thank you to those who stayed. Thank you to the students and Cassie and whoever else put this together. I really appreciate that. I came tonight with a heavy heart, and you might have noticed that my voice has been shaky. But a dear friend of mine passed away today, Judy Yellowbank. And the family asked me to make her dress and her moccasins that I have to have done by the morning. And it's also my son's birthday. He turned 33 today. I just want everybody to know that, I'm sorry, I don't want to be crying, but I just want everybody to know that I'll always put my best foot forward when it comes to our tribal members. The way that I was brought up by both my grandparents, Joe and Imogene Redhorn, and Stanford and Marie Whitewater. This is what they told me and taught me, was when someone asks you to do something like what I was asked today, that you get it done to the best of your ability. But I also want you to know that, I put this first because I want to serve on the tribal council. I feel like with age and experience that I'm going to be able to serve you and the rest of our tribal members. But, tonight I'm going to ask everybody, to say a prayer for the Yellowbank family. And thank you. Oh, and I have to work tomorrow, so I'm not going to be doing a meal.
That's all right. Have a victory meal.
Good night, everybody.
Get out.
Yes, yes.